will become easy. Great. Yeah.
I am recording
great.
now. I am. Thanks for remembering me. Thank you, Sulamtu.
Yeah.
Who is the next in this presentation and the interest of this conversation?
Yeah, I think I'll skip, introducing myself. I would like our scholars to introduce themselves. You can start.
Please help me. Who's the next?
Yeah, I will start from myself.
Okay.
Okay, hi, namaste. And maybe for you, it's a Merry Christmas. It's coming. Myself, Sunita Nemafuki. I'm doing my study here in TU Central Department, and I'm really interested on especially in development communication and especially focus on agriculture communication. I have some concern with you, but after introduction, we will talk more. Please, another friend.
Please, Sunita, you say who is the next?
Yeah,
through this alphabetical order also, A is the beginning. So this is Anup K. Baral, and I'm the student of MPhil of mass communication journalism, and basically I'm in the automotive industry in Nepal and also in media, and I do the lifestyle media reporting. And I'm very much concerned this time because Daniel, the Boric, this time Gabriel Boric has been elected in Chile. So as a party of social convergence, so my concern is how Boric could change all the things and proclaimed him as its presidential candidate, and how he changed all the phenomena which was previously in Chile, and he got majorly 60% of vote from the people of Chile. So this is possible, and how media supported to make Mr. Gabriel Boric to win his race. Thank you.
Anup, who is the next? You take the decision.
Yeah, Bhavaneshwar Gautam, he is the monitor of our class also. Bhavani.
Namaste. Me Bhavaneshwar Gautam. I'm fellow of MPhil PhD, Journalism and Mass Communication, Central Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Tribhuvan University. I'm also the working journalist of Nepal, leading newspaper Naya Patrika National Daily. I'm working as a coordinator of Social and Value Bureau. Thank you.
Okay.
Who is the next?
Next. Please come.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Yes, good evening, Professor Rodrigo and all our respected teachers. Myself, this is Pitambar Sigdel, as Mr. Rodrigo already said. You pronounced very rightly, actually. And I'm also a fellow of MPhil PhD in Central Department of Tribhuvan University in Kathmandu. And I also professionally, and as Mr. Anup mentioned earlier, I am also very much interested to know apparently held election in Chile, because it is really very much exciting, or we can say like exciting, or like a very energetic news for all over the world. That's young political leaders is going to lead the Chile. So how media actually play to make it success or something like this? How media help him?
Yeah, okay.
So what was the strategy of media, or maybe price strategy? Actually, I'm very much keen interested.
Okay.
Let's give the turn to somebody. Pitambar.
Yeah, I think anyone come. I could see Saishnu. I think you can start.
Okay, namaste and Merry Christmas, sir. I'm Saishnu
Thank
Paudel.
you.
I'm also a MPhil PhD scholar in Tribhuvan University, and I'm a lecturer of journalism department in RR College. And I'm so excited about today's class to know about the Chile's election, and I would like to know something about Chile's election and the world scenario that the world is selecting youth, and not only in Chile but in if we compare it with the different elections that are just held in Nepal, General Assemblies election of different parties in Nepal. Different young leaders are leading the high position in the parties. So I want to know the comparative. I want to know the comparison between the Chile's election and the that youth are coming in leadership. In our context, also youth are leading. So I want to know the scenario, how it is. How it is happening in the world, how it is changing. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
No,
Next.
thanks for you. Next.
Hello everyone, it's me Sasi Cohen. I'm studying journalism in Tribhuvan University, and hope today's session is enjoyable, and we will get more knowledge from our professor. And today in this class, I'm interested to know about the social, political, and economic condition of Chile, and also want to know how media helps to encourage youth for leading in political situation in Chile.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Who is next?
Okay. Good evening from Nepal to Dr. Rodrigo Araya. I'm Ram Madin. Me too, student, a scholar of MPhil PhD at Tribhuvan University of Nepal. And very nice to meet you on virtual lecture today to Dr. Rodrigo. By profession, I'm a bureaucrat of Nepal government, and I'm from indigenous community in Nepal. There are diverse communities in Nepal. There are 125 caste and groups, and there are 123 language groups. So today, it is very good topic, and a colonial notion of journalism. So it is very great opportunity to me to know more about colonial notion of journalism and decolonial notion of journalism. Thank you so much.
Great. I think somebody is still there. Madhavji. You are muted, Madhavji. Unmute yourself.
Pitambar.
Namaste. Hello, I am Madhav Tiwari. I work for Nepali news portal Dainiki.com. I am currently studying MPhil in journalism at Tribhuvan University. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that is it. Pitambar introduced Rodrigo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a internet connection problem at Pitambar's end. So I think you
So actually I have okay. I'm so sorry. Yes.
No, you are audible.
Yeah.
You are audible. You are audible.
Sure. So I am audible right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, I have already tried to introduce myself, but I am happy. I get a chance to repeat again. So this is Pitambar Sigdel.
You're lucky.
But I think you still have a low band problem, Pitambarji. I think we have already heard you. I think Rodrigo has already
And I
heard
am
you. So I think we
also a
can move ahead
scholar
with
of all. And professionally, I am also a
He's cutting out. That is the problem.
Pitambar,
We have,
Sure. That would be nice. That would be nice.
yeah, we have very connectivity problem today.
Pitambar, maybe you can use the
sorry.
chat for your introduction.
Yeah.
All of you was presented? Yes?
Yeah, well, listening. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now I must to introduce you my nephew. No?
Hi.
She's Renata, and Renata is a very bilingual people, not like me. So she support me when I don't understand your intervention. When you talk, I have problem to understand. To me, it's more easy speak this talk about my person, no?
Right.
And if I have problem to understand, Renata will be my support. I prepare a presentation when because I'm interested to give you a context, very brief and very quickly context. And before to start, I want to ask you that please, every time that you need to ask me or to make a comment, please feel the confidence to do. Don't feel that you interrupted me because in this way will be a conversation and not a monologue from my part. I hope that Sudan to have time to share with you my decalogue to recognize a colonial notion of journalism. I only want to ask you that take this decalogue like a paper in progress. I'm very interested to share with you, but please don't, it's only for you, because I'm working in this and I hope to transform this in a paper for a journal in soon as later, no? Okay. I start. And the last question, the last topic, how much time we have? What is the deadline for the conversation?
I think, are you fine talking 1 hour?
1
Rodrigo?
hour. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. About the presidential election in Chile, 2021. This is Chile in the south of the world, and this is Nepal. No, we are in the different sides of the earth. This is the South American map. You can see Chile in the south. Like I said, Chile have 5,000 kilometers to the north, from the north to the south. It's like the distance Madrid in Spain to Moscow, no? And we are very thin. The Pacific Ocean and the Los Andes mountains. Mountains from 5,000 meters, no, as a very high mountains, no like Himalayas, but very high. If you see the south of the world is only Chile, Argentina, New Zealand, and a part of Australia and Uruguay. If you are a fan of soccer, maybe you know Uruguay. No, it's a very little country, but very strong in soccer. And the rest of the world is in the center or in the north. We are the only 5 countries in summer in this time. Maybe with South Africa, but South Africa is more at the north than Chile. Okay, and this is the Palace of Government, La Moneda. In literal translation, La Moneda means the coin, no? And in 1970, Salvador Allende was elected president in Chile, and Salvador Allende was the first Marxist to come to the power by popular vote in the world, I think, the first Marxist. Then, so his election was very important, no? It was very destacated news. In 1973, in Chile, happened a coup d'etat. This is the government palace, La Moneda, that was that bombs that our own Air Force drop bombs to the palace government. Salvador Allende died during the attack. And in this moment, Augusto Pinochet take the power by the force. And the dictatorship in Chile during 17 years, from 73 to 89. In December 89, Patricio Aylwin was elected president, and he took the power in March 90. I want to the stake to highlight this date because it was only 3 months later that the Berlin Wall fell. No, and I don't know for you, but for me, the fall of the Berlin Wall was the begin to a politics, a different way to understand politics. The mega narratives of modernity was fall together the Berlin Fall. No? Do you understand Berlin Fall? Berlin Wall? No?
I think they understand, like it was a pre-context to, yeah.
The Berlin Wall.
Yeah, the Berlin Wall. Yes.
The Berlin Wall, yes, in Germany. Okay, and these dates are very close. When in Chile elected after the dictatorship a president, and when the Berlin Wall fall, no? This is all the presidents in Chile after the dictatorship. Patricio Aylwin, well, maybe you know Michelle Bachelet because she works for the United Nations currently. And this is Sebastián Piñera, the current president of Chile. All of them belong one of the parties. Of the consultation of parties for democracy, that is a center-left aggregation of parties, or Chile Vamos, something like Chile Goes. Chile Goes are center-right. So during these 21 years, the power has divided between the center-left and the center-right. And no one party have the enough force to introduce change to the social system that we heritage from the Pinochet dictatorship. So the national political system is very similar to the system that dictatorship did for our country. He is Gabriel Boric, the president-elect of Chile, and that you say she's very young, 55 years, when she is 35 years, when he assumed the presidency in next March. He is 36. No, he born in February. Is the youngest Chilean elected by popular vote for presidents, and in next March he will be the second youngest in the world in the presidents, or like a chief of state. It's very young. My oldest son have the same age that Gabriel Boric. For context, in 2006, we have the Penguin Revolution, led by high school student. Why penguin? Because the uniform that girls use for go to the high school is blue and white. So she looks like a penguin. No, in a colloquial way to say, we use the penguin for design the student from high school. No, this sign said for a free education, the rebellion is justified. No, in 2011 we have a movement from universities, no high school or universities, and they fighting for free education in the university. The Chilean university are not free, even the public universities. All students have to pay, and if you don't have money for pay immediately, you can access to a credit that means like the half for buy a house. Do you understand? ¿Entendió? So the secondary, the university education is very, very expensive in Chile, and we don't have in this moment a free education in universities. Among others, Gabriel Boric was a leader of this movement, okay? And the people that currently take a part of the staff of Gabriel Boric are also, was also leaders of the 2011 Chilean student movements. In 2019, we have the third of this movement, leader again for secondary students. They decided to jump the system to pay the underground, no, the subway, because the government increment the price of ticket. So with this movement start a very great fight from the people against the government, and this movement was led especially by women. Please see this photograph. is very representative that what happened in Chile in 2019. Women, you can see the uniform blue with white penguins that fight in the street against the government. Now you can see the public transport waiting that these women finish their street fight. In October 2019 was the most large march in Chile. Only in Santiago, we estimate that 2 million people take a part of this movement. No, 1,002,000 people and 200,000 people. In all the country, only at near to 2 million people mobilized for this day in October. So the government crisis was very, very deep, and away from find a solution. So this photograph is the most representative photograph of this day. This is a monument. This is a monument of a general of Chilean history. And you see young people with flags of Chile and flags of Mapuche. Mapuche is the more large native Chilean people, no? They fight against the Spain Empire during 300 years, and Spain Empire can't win to the Mapuche's people. And this photo is like a French Revolution, no? It looks like this. Okay. In November of 2019, the leaders of the parties with representation in the Congress decided to firm an agreement for peace and new constitution. The most important demand from the citizenship was a new constitution that replace the Pinochet constitution. And all the parties with representation in the Congress signed this agreement, except 2 parties, the Communist Party and the Gabriel Boric Party. You can see Gabriel Boric sit in the table when the leaders offer a press conference for announce this agreement. But Boric signed the agreement like a person, no like a leader of the party. Even more, for sign this agreement, Boric was sancionado, was punished for his party. But he understood that this way to institutionalize the social movement was very important. So during the 2020, we have a election and decided to elect an assembly for the new constitution. She is Elisa Loncón, that in 2021 was elected president of the assembly for the new constitution. Elisa Loncón is a woman that is an academic. She has a PhD. She has a PhD in literature, and she works in a University of Santiago of Chile. But she's Mapuche. She's the Mapuche flag, And for us was very important that for first time a Mapuche leader institutional assembly. For first time, usually the mestais like me are the people that lead the national institution. 1 week ago, 10 days ago, we have the second round for the presidential election. And in the second round, Gabriel Boric won with 4.5 million of votes, and Jose Antonio Cast lost with 3.5 million of votes. Why this is important? Because Cast is a sort of continuator, if you understand the word, of the Pinochet work. He is a very extremely right people. Even his father fight for the Nazi regime. No, he was an officer of the Nazi army. When Germany lost the Second World War, his father ran to Chile, and Jose Antonio Cast born in Chile, and this is his father. So in this election, for first time, when we recuperate the democracy, when we rebuild the democracy, for first time, the second round of the election was between two candidates that don't belong to the center right and the center left, because Cast is the extremely right, and Boric maybe for Chilean people is the extremely left, but in Europe, Boric may be considered like a social democrat. Thank you, Sudamchu. Social democrat politician.
We also have social democrats in Nepal.
Yes, yes. My hypothesis, only 5. First, post-Pinochet politics, when we rebuild the democracy, mega-narratives of modernity, liberal and Marxist was important and marked the politic system in Chile. Second, the economic route is not enough to give dignity. In Chile, a lot of people that have a work, a job, don't receive enough money to live with dignity. So we have a structural poverty that is not finished despite the economic growth. Economic growth and development, you know, are not synonyms and not the same. The third, new citizen sensitivities, especially during the mega narratives of modernity. The important topics for politicians are redistribution. No, how the taxes can eliminate the poverty. But in this moment, politics for recognition are equal important for Chilean population. For example, recent 2 weeks ago, we approved a law for equals marriage. This means that for first time, people from the same sex can marry. This was forbidden before this law. And the Mapuche people is asking that in the new constitution, there was recognition like a nation, another nation in the state. The fourth hypothesis, we have a new way of doing politics. In Chile, the parties was very important for our sociability. I say you, we have the first country in the world that's election by popular vote a Marxist for like a president. This is a way to say that for us, politics and party politics was very important. And parties have the monopoly of the public. But in this moment, the people will the public no through the parties, people will the public through the citizen or social movements. And in my point of view, Gabriel Boric understands this change absolutely well, because he comes to politics from the social movements, not from parties, no, the student movement. And the first hypothesis in these times is the turn of the new generation without fear. What means without fear? For example, I am 59. For the coup d'etat from Pinochet, I have 11. When dictatorship Pinochet finished, I had 27. So I am part of the generation of fear. To me, the worst democracy is better than the better dictatorship. So I am decided to accept anything if this if this avoid that we have again a dictatorship, because I am part of the generation with fear. But our sons, the new generation, are a generation without fear, because they born and they grown up, they arrived to ground people, ¿cómo es adulto? To ground people, no? To ground people, when they arrive to ground people in democracy, no in dictatorship. So the people that have a privilege in Chile have feared this generation, because this is a generation without fear. Was clear or so confused? Sudamchu? Could you understand?
I think it's clear now. I can just add a little bit. In Nepal, like you, I think I'm 8 years younger than you, but I also lived in a fear when we had autocratic rule before 1990 for nearly 32 years, directly done by the king, almost like a Pinochet.
Yes.
And then we had a democracy. But I think when you wrote about the comrades who removed the Pinochet, but when they came in power for last, like 20, 25 years, they could not deliver a justice to their own comrades. That is the issue. I think I'm very much interested. I think your lecture will come into that. I think the Nepalese would also understand that living into at least 3 political revolutions in Nepal would give us a very close, understanding of this Chilean rise of this young person to the power.
Okay.
May continue.
Thank you. And the last, ¿cómo se llama estas cosas? Sleep. And the last one. What are the challenges for journalists about my point of view? First, decolonized journalism. What means? How we can have a journalist that put it at the service of the citizenry and not at service of liberal representative democracy. If you read the papers, if you watch the news program, the information that journalists give to the people is useful to understand what happened with the state, but it's not useful to create a social movement, a citizenship movement. It's only to give publicity to the acts of the state. Second, democratize the public space. What means democratize? Not only publishing the affairs of the state, means especially helping identities that have only a private voice to acquire a public voice. This is very important because in this moment, a lot of identities only appear in the public space when people with public voice speak for them, don't speak with our own voice. And third, we need journalists with more love for the public than love for the truth. In this moment, for the journalist practice in Chile, the most important thing is the truth, that the news is the truth, that the car accidents real happen, but don't import if the car accident have public sense. So the news program, the newspapers are full of the news that possible are true, but it's no, I don't have the same security that the kind of news are public. How we can understand that the public is not only built by the state, the public in this moment is built for the citizen movement, and they use only system of communication to build a public space. For example, internet and all the networks that internet give for us. At the end, we need journalism for citizens and not for the state. What means this? What this means? A journalist that understands citizenry as active in the construction of the publics and not only as spectators and acclaimers of what the state and northern social actors do. Gabriel Boric said the night when he won, said, with me, all the population entered to the La Moneda, to the Palace of Government. Okay? And what means? I no interested to direct you. I'm interested to give a coordination of the diversity in the country, because all of you have a different public interest, and the duty of the power is coordinate this diversity. I think that this make reality the way to understand the state from post-colonial context. Our democracy was created in Europe, now in Latin America. So we have a state very similar to Europe states, but the nation is very different. It's very usual to hear that the problem of the democracy in Latin America is the people, is the citizens, because we have a very modern state, but the citizens are not modern, are traditional citizens. So the work of the state is transform the citizen in the way that the citizenry give the step from tradition to modernity. Now we live a very special moment that maybe we change the concept of democracy for appropriate a situated democracy for our people, for our population, and now change the population for a state that was sought in Europe. No, maybe this is the reason because the Chilean election was important for different countries. This is the Argentinian newspaper, page 12. This is a Brazilian paper, Folha do Sao Paulo. This is the UK paper, The Guardian. This is a French paper, L'Humanité. Looks the childs or the sons of Allende have the victory, no? L'Humanité. This is the Spain paper, El País, the country. Granma, the Cuban paper, is property from the state in Cuban, Boric in the front page. And this is a US paper that the Washington Post, maybe you know, because Washington Post was very important for the how is the Nixon, when they discovered the Nixon spike to the Democratic Party, and Washington Post left it millennial wins election as Chilean news president. So in my point of view, the interest of this election is we are changing the national institutionalization of the democracy. And for this, we need a new generation with no fear from dictatorship and with distance with the European way to build a state. This is my presentation. I take a lot of time. I'm sorry.
Fantastic, fantastic, Rodrigo. I think before our students went into some questions, I could not resist myself raising, like a few points. If we look at it from our own political development in Nepal and the journalism around, your narrative very much, tells our story as well in Nepal. Especially I would like you to elaborate about your mega narrative of how liberalism and Marxism could go together, like in this meta narrative, what does that mean in Chilean context? First question.
¿Qué significan ambas, no? For example, in this election, the right people insist in understand this election that put two polos, one against the other, the left and the right. Yeah. But this only works if you think in European modernity narratives. No, because another way to see what happened in Chile is one form to understand politics and the state follow the Euro politics, and one way to understand they need a situated democracy because we live in a post-colonial context. No, the second great independence from the Spain Empire, I think, is happening now. For example, we in the rest of Latin America, grow up a lot of university of intercultural university or indigenous university that are trying to create a situated knowledge to understand our position. Because if we use the concept created in Europe, we see like a Europe of second quality, no? a bad copies of Europe people. And we need a new kind of democracy. Gabriel Boric said that he is very interested to finish his period like president with less power that they have when they start. What means? How I could include the citizenry in the public topics, in the public subjects. Because in this kind of democracy, the citizenry have only two works for democracy. One, consume journalism news. And two, pronunciate for elections or for answer, how is encuesta, answer polls. Okay, answer polls and vote. But the citizen don't have any one responsibility in public topics. In Chile, maybe you know, was the first country in the world when the neoliberal policies was implanted, no? And the youngs like Gabriel Boric dreams where the country where neoliberalism born is the country when neoliberalism died.
Okay. I just need one more elaboration, because I think this is very right. And then what is the answer? If Boris wants to enter your Lamoniel with the people, this is what you said, what he said after the election. So he really is not a person entering, but the people, Mapuche, others, like. So how is it different than the identity politics that is everywhere? I think we can also, I think my question can also be supplemented by Ram Madin, who works for Nepal Indigenous, like association. So there's association for indigenous nationalities in Nepal. So how is it different than just to assure the identity, or like what it means in 2021 or 2022 as we're entering it, a new Chile, like with this in this post-colonial context?
I think that the most important difference is generation belong. No, young people are very different. For example, they are most ready for understand what cultural diversity means. They are most prepared to recognize rights to the homosexual people. They are most ready for understand that English is not the empire language, understand that English is the global language, the globalization language. For example, thanks English, even my poor English, thank English, I can talk with people from Nepal, because you don't know Spanish, and I don't know Nepali, no? And they are most prepared for the new world. I like or not, the new world is very different. We live in a world with no frontiers, symbolic frontier at least. We live in a world when we learn a lot from another countries, we need to learn to live with diversity in a way of sense. And this implies change to the form to understand what government is, and especially the way to understand what journalism is. For us, the usual was understand that journalist is a watchdog from the state. This means that citizen people, that citizenships could worry about their private topics, because journalists replace the citizen about what the state do. But in this moment, the new citizenries are interested now in watching the state, are interested in to take a part of definition of the public, what public means. No? But we don't have, in Chile at least, we don't have journalists for the people. We have journalists from the state. No for the square, only for the palace.
Fantastic. So I think I'll now open the floor for the students. I think you had a nice
Yeah, I have one queries about the election focused on the Chile, because mostly in the election the mind, money and muscles work. People believe either in mind or money or muscles.
Mind?
In your election, was money or mind or muscles, did work or not?
The right candidature could recollect a lot of money, no? Because I think in Nepal it's the same. The right people is more rich than the left people, no? And then put a lot of advisement in radio and in newspaper. The law in Chile forbidden, the law in Chile forbidden the TV advisement for election period. Huh? But the right candidature pay for people move the flags in the street and distribute the pamphlets or the paper with advertisement for this candidate. By another way, Gabriel Boric, especially in the second round, could attract a lot of people that work voluntarily, because they are interested in build a new democracy. Myself, for example, for first time in my life, with another two people of my neighborhood, went door by door, knocking the door and say the people, hey, we are volunteers for the Gabriel Boric campaign. Are you interested in to know about our candidate? No, door by door. The challenge was to knock $1 million for Gabriel Boric. And a lot of people, of supporters of the Boric candidature, created, I don't know, ¿cómo se dice memes en inglés?
Memes.
Do you know memes? What memes? Yes?
Yeah, internet.
A lot of memes for the social networks, for digital social networks, and a very short videos, but people created the memes and these videos by own initiative, no, because the candidate would pay money for this work, no? And I think that this create a very great social movement, and the challenge for the new government is how to continue with social movement, because the current government could allow us to understand that government only with parties but no with social movements is a government that don't gain possibility to government the country. No, the government don't need only parties, need also a social movement. This is the challenge, and the strength and interesting to me is the social media are currently use the national media, TV, radio, and papers like a reference for build the videos and memes. So social media in this moment in Chile are able to build a public alternative public space, but the official public space, the national public space, still now is built by the analogic media, TV, radio, papers, no by social media. Social media build an alternative media, alternative public space, and in this case, this alternative public space could able to, or was able to acquire the power, no? The new president. But the relation between the public space that build social media and the analogical media is interesting to observe what happened with the ways of opinions, no? With the opinions climates. Opinion climates is right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, thank you for your sharing, the experiences. And then, okay, you also told about the role of the media during the election. Even in Nepal is also happening the same situations. Are there also the media polarizing either or political parties? What is the situation of the media ownership in Chile?
The owners of the analogical media, TV station, papers, radio, are from the right. But interesting, the reporters are not from the right because they are very young. What happened? The crisis of the media is in relation with the way of obtaining money, no? The analogical advertisement is decreased, and the digital advertisement is grow up. So the analogical media are in a very important crisis that don't allow to pay salaries for very formed, very qualified journalists. The qualified journalist works usually in a own initiative of media using the social media. So the reporters of the analogical media are very young and very sensitive with the Gabriel Boric positions. For for a generation similitude. No, this is interesting because, in my point of view, it's more important to the focus for the news, what the reporter does, and not what the owners or the chief editor does. No, because the questions to one candidate, the problems that the journalists present to the candidates are not decision of the owner of the chief editor, are decision from the reporter. To me, for example, it's very difficult to understand, to see in TV reporters of 25, 26, 27, because they are very young. No, they don't have the enough experience to cover a presidential campaign. No, but the money is not enough. It's only enough for pay of this kind of journalists. No journalists with a lot of experience.
Okay, students, I think they have some questions. Do you have any questions from the student?
I think mostly satisfied because you presented very well. Thank you for your remarks and then presentations, because you shared the information from Chile related to the elections. Young spirit is, there in the Chile. Probably the president will change the nation and so on in the coming days. And thank you for your presentation. And if other participants may have some queries, they
I
can
think they have.
raise.
Sir, I have one query.
Please go ahead. Yes.
Tell me.
May I, sir?
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Sir, I would like to know your opinion regarding why did Gabriel won the election. If people were frustrated by the then contemporary bureaucracy, or if the people think that he was the person who can change the whole situation, or it is a trend that it is not, it is a trend that youth are coming forward and leading on their sector. Not only him, but in other sector also, like in Twitter, Parag Agrawal was 37. He was the CEO of Twitter. And Pichai, who was the CEO of Google, he was only 49. It was a trend, a global trend, that youths are coming up and leading their area. So what do you think, that why did people choose him, choose the youngest candidate to be the president of Chile? In your opinion, I want your personal opinion, your analysis. Thank you, sir.
Wait me a minute for my translator supporter.
¿Por qué crees que
Ganó el joven?
Sí,
Yeah.
el joven no.
The politician analysts say that the people that vote for Gabriel Boric was principally youngest people and women. Youngest people, I say, because they have a lot of distance with the institutionalized of the country, with the kind of democracy that we have. In Chile, to vote is volunteer. No one is forced to vote. No. So in the first round, vote around 6-something million of people. For the second round, vote 8 million. So near to 1.5 million of people, the people that vote increased in 1.5 million of people, a lot, no? And these people was young and women. Why women? Because the another candidate, Cast, represent a family when women occupy a very second position in the marriage. They have 9 or 10 children, no? And his woman is prized to bear children, no? And maybe is their only work in the life, no? And Cass insists that the social place for women is build a family, a marriage family, a Catholic family. They include, for example, a proposal that they consider to give money only for women that are married, not for women that are single with sons or daughter. No, women felt that they could rewind, retroceder. Women felt that we can go back to the position of women in Chile, no? And the young, I say you, feel very close to the Gabriel Boric position, no? Who is the principal vote for Cast? The rich people, no, don't do it. And the second, the men that aspire to increase their money. The neoliberalism is not only economic politics or policy. It's not only economic policy. It's especially a cultural or a civilizator way to understand what life is. And for the men between the 30 and 50, neoliberalism is opportunity to have holidays in the Caribbean seas, in the American Caribbean seas, or in the Achan Caribbean, if you accept my my metaphor, to have a new car, a car of the year, the most close smartphone, good clothes, men's very interested in money. And these men are not interested to build a solidarity system, for example, for health, for retired people. No, they are only interested to have money and work like a consumer in the market. I think that I know that it's no it's not a fine. There's not diagnostic, but I think that this happened in Chile. I answered the question or not?
Thank you, sir.
I have one query. Was there any media projection that the 35 years old young in the election, was there any of media projection? Some countries have some practice, that type of practice.
So again, can you repeat? The connection was interrupted for a moment.
Yeah. Was there any media projection that 35 years old a youth would win the election? Yeah. Were there any media projection?
Again, please, I'm sorry.
Shall I rephrase his question? Shall I explain it to you, Rodrigo? What he is asking is that normally there will be election predictions, right? The media normally predicts, right? So this party, this person is going to win. There will be poll, there are opinion polls and things like that. So he's asking if there was such opinion polls for a 35-year-old to win a Chilean presidential election. Was there anything like that?
First, a date of context. In the first round, Kass obtained more votes than Boric, no? 26 and 24%, if I'm not wrong. And Boric so start in the second position for the second round. And the polls, the enterprise polls, are very close to the right in Chile. And no one have confidence in the polls, no? Usually the polls are wrong. No, are not good prediction about the results of the elections. In this time, the polls say that was very fight. Both are very close the final. But the final was 11 points of difference, no? 50, close to 56 and 40, 44, 45. When vote is volunteer, I think that the polls are not good predictor for the results of the election, because you don't know who people finally decide to vote, no? So if you ask, are you interested to go to the vote? People could say yes or not, but no one knows with 100% of security who vote finally and who don't vote. I think that it's more important to talk in the street with people. This is most useful to understand what happened with the public opinion. And in this sense, I think that in countries like Chile, when the confidence in the democracy is very low, very, very low, the most important is not the poll, not the reference media, not the analogic media. The most important is the social movement, because you only go to vote if you see a social movement that share with you the same option to vote, no? I like, for example, ¿cómo se llaman los irlandeses? I like U2. Do you know U2, the band of music from Ireland? Do you know U2? No? What band of music is famous in Nepal in this moment?
Yeah, it actually it's some local music actually. If we go through the YouTube, it's a trending. The Nepali local music is on trending actually. The local folk music.
But okay, means imagine a concert with a very important band when you are the only one audience in the stadium. No, what do you prefer? To go a concert that is full of fans of the band, or you be the only one audience in the stadium? I think that politics election are very similar to this. Given the parties have no force to move the people to vote, the social movements have the force. And if you feel that the social movements where you belong is strong, you have more energies, most interesting to vote. And the polls can reflect this reality. The polls are designed for democracies when parties are important. The polls don't have tools for consider what is the importance of the social movement in the decision to go to the vote and what do you mark in the vote. In my point of view.
Okay, I'll just supplement this one. So does this mean that there is a very big social capital in Chile, in Chilean context? Or yeah.
No. We have a very very teeny social capital. The sociability is very contrite. We don't have a great sociability, no? But with this election, the social capital go up a lot.
What was the factor? What was the factor? What was the factor? What contributed that?
The hopeless to have a president of 55 years old.
Oh.
35. 35.
Yeah.
The hopeless to have a president, a very young president, because the other generations lost the opportunity to create a democracy for us.
How would you how would Rodrigo, as a person who has seen the generations of political transition in Chile, would not take that just as one of our students, Saisnu, indicated about this, just following a global trend, just like following a trending music in YouTube or following something in social media? How is it different from just following that trend? Because he nicely put up two examples, the young leaders, political leaders, as well as young leaders in the global leading business, like either Google or Twitter or even Facebook. So how do we discount as a political commentator, or political journalist or political science, academics, that it is not just a trend but a very inner desire and a hope for a change? How do you see that, Rodrigo? Very interesting problem.
Wait a moment.
Yeah.
Dale.
No, es que estoy medio distraída.
Pero no, pues no puede estar. Do you ask about what is the importance of the importance of the Twitter and the social?
No. What I asked was, how do you assure that this is not a trend where everywhere in the world young people are coming to the power? Will Boris bring the changes that it's so desired by the Chilean people?
No, trend.
Yeah.
I'll ask separately, don't worry.
No. my assistants help me very well.
Yeah. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I think I am missing Jakob here, our good friend, who would have translated between the English and Spanish.
I am thinking in Jacob. Jacob is a friend of Suanchu and me. For example, think in the Greta, how is Greta? Greta, the youngest. Huh?
Yeah, Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg.
Yes.
Yeah.
What happened in the world that a girl from 15, I think, no? Is the most important voice to the climate change and to need to stop the climate change. What happened? Sorry if I return every time at the same point, no? But the European modernity conduced us a no exit street, because this development politics is not sustainable in the world. There are no possibilities to preserve the human life in the world if we remain with this development policy, no? And for the young, it's more easy to understand than for our generations. For example, I don't know in Nepal, but in Chile, people of 15, teenagers are not interested to have childs because they say, why I want childs if I am not sure that the world survivor for 50 years, no? So the change, in my point of view, needs a new generation that don't have fidelity with the European way of life, with the European kind of government, of democracy, and a new religion. I think that the post-colonial thought is a very good strategy to preserve the life in the earth.
Great. Okay. Others, any questions?
Good, because it's time to lunch to me, and the lunch is the strong meal in the day in Chile.
It's a good time for go to bed for us.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Right.
and we can share with my family to the Christmas celebration.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Thank
So
you.
no questions now. Then no questions.
I think it's a time for good lunch to our Dr. Rodrigo. So without losing a single minute, I just want a very small question, that the fact that challenges for journalists in Chile, journalists are needed with more love for the truth. Ultimately, journalism for the citizen and not for the state.
Yes.
And in the practice of journalism, journalists transmit facts and not version of facts. And journalism disseminate the facts and figure without contaminating the gist. In this scenario, how can we underestimate to understand the citizen of the state? This is my question.
Me dice que el periodismo transmite hechos, ¿no? I agree with you, except in this. It's not the journalism. It's the most usual practice of journalism.
Okay.
And we have a problem. We think that the most usual practice of journalism is journalism. Why is a problem? Because this don't allow us to think in new notions of journalism. No? If you take Al Jazeera, do you know Al Jazeera, I think? Al Jazeera? Yeah, if you take Al Jazeera or if you take a CNN media news show, are equals, no? A woman and a man sit with a letters in the top or in the bottom of the screen, but it's the same way to do journalism. Why the same way to do journalism is expanded for the world? Two possibilities. One of them, casualty. Two of them, there are a power that insists in put this way to practice and understand journalism is in all the world. I trust in the second. What is the power? Sorry if I return to the same point, the Eurocentrism, because this way to understand journalism is like a strategical communication for the liberal and representative democracy. Finally, universities in Chile don't format journalists, format strategical communicators for liberal and representative democracy. But for example, if we will have a direct democracy, no representative democracy, the notion of news is soft, it's not strong. What is the sense of news to spread, to broad facts in a direct democracy? Don't have sense. No, one of the problems of journalists in Latin America, I don't know the case of Acha. One of the problems of Latin America is that we have only one way to understand journalism. And this notion of journalism was taken from the practice, from the most predominant practice of journalism. If no one think what journalism is, we only take the predominant practice, and with practice we say, this is journalism. You know? And this journalist, I insist, sorry for the boring, because maybe I am boring for the insistence in the same topic. This practice is useful for the representative democracy and from the state, not from the nation, not from the citizens. So when we say journalists spread facts, obviously we privilege the institution and the people that is prepared to create facts. No? And for example, in poor neighborhoods, never occurs facts that journalists consider news, except an accident, a fire, a murder, no? But no one of these is historical topic. It's only accident, no? So this way to definir, this way to define journalism to me is a problem, because use a news like the most important support of journalism. I am interested to imagine a journalist that understand his position in create the public topics, the public space, and journalists counts with a way to create the journalistic narrative for included, not excluded, people from the public voice. No, in Chile, for example, if you use the most elegant, the most formal Spanish, you are considered for speak in public. But if you speak like a popular Chilean, very different to the formal Spanish, you have more difficulties for speak in public space. Maybe you know the paper of, how is the Indian woman? Can the subaltern speak?
Mhm.
Do you know the paper? Can the subaltern speak?
Yeah. This
No?
is Spivak Chakrabarti. Yes, yes.
That's right. I think that they put this problem. No, the way that journalists use to create a journalistic text is useful for the subaltern speak or limits the public speak to the elites of our countries. I think that journalists must not define for the notion of facts, must define for how included or excluded public space contribute to build.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry
She's
for
Gayatri.
my
Yeah.
I hope that you could understand despite my English.
It's Gayatri Spivak Chakrabarti, I think. Yeah, the subaltern theories. Yeah.
Theories, yes.
You can read my decalogue, but please remember that the decalogue is a work in progress, and I only put the ideas and not develop the ideas, but in the decalogue, these kind of ideas are present.
Great.
Right.
That's all for right.
Yeah, I think
Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
it's almost 2 hours now. I think Rodrigo should go for lunch, and we should go for bed. Thank you very much, Rodrigo, and it was wonderful, wonderful. I hope the students have enjoyed as much as I enjoyed from your deliberations, and it has definitely raised so many questions. I'll communicate with you in person. I think we can also think of writing jointly about this, like post-colonial, like maneuvering of media and journalism and things like that, and how it implicate to the politics. But one point to, like the one point that brought to a very great attention to all the Nepalese audience that we are here, apart from Rodrigo and his niece, is that even the popularity of democracy in Nepal is all-time low these days. So maybe, like a solution, a Chilean solution could be there in the form of, like a social movement creating where it takes in the nation's voice and then the multiple voices into the state making, and also the journalist and the media would, like realize their role not in state making, but making a very strong public sphere for the citizenry, And this course that I teach also looks into these dimensions of how public sphere could be, like more related to the citizenry than to the state. Thank you very much, Rodrigo. And on behalf of my department, there where I teach these MPhil students, in Tribhuvan University Central Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, and its head, Professor Chiranjeevi Khanal, who stood with us for whole 2 hours, and he also had wonderful questions, and your time and your deliberations. And thank you very much to your niece for a wonderful, wonderful translation that she could immediately, impromptu translation, like she could help us get into that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Happy
thank you.
Christmas.
Thank you
Guys.
so much. Thank you so much.
Merry
Have a good
Christmas,
day.
doctor,
Bye-bye.
and Happy New Year's. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
You for the opportunity. It was a very, very important opportunity to me, and I hope to see you physically, no digitally, someday.
We also do
Yeah.
hope so. Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much,
Nice
Dr.
to meet
Sudhanshu
you
sir,
and nice to
Chiranjeevi
hear
sir,
from
and
you.
all colleagues. Merry Christmas. See you soon.
Gracias. Muchas
Good night,
gracias.
sir.
Muchas gracias. Adiós.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias, amigo.
Muchas gracias, amigo. Amigo Sudhanshu. Adiós.
Yeah, Rodrigo. Yeah.